Okay, Rosen spent the better part of his adult life as a rock and roll badass. I added that part, he didn't. Touring the United States. He holds a bachelor's degree in music from the University of Oregon. Played drums in a couple of local acts. You might have heard of one of them. Or two of them. And enjoys playing timpani with the Portland Metro Band, the East County Community Orchestra, and the Mount Hood Hops. His work has appeared in the Frozen Moment, the Portland Review, the Class That Fell in Love with the Man, Nailed Magazine, and has a short story coming out in Forrest Evan Press's City of Weird. By Gigi Little. Let me just say, Gigi Little and Stephen O'Donnell, thank you both very much for leaving a thimble full of talent for the rest of the Pacific Northwest to pass around. Bradley currently lives in Portland with his ex-wife, don't ask, and his dog. Not necessarily in that order. Please welcome Bradley K. Rosen. Hi. I want to thank Tommy. She's awesome. This thing so cool. It's been going so long. It's going to go on forever, I hope. As far as Tom goes, love you, Tom. He knows that. And Sages. This is something I pulled out of me last week, and it needs some more opening, but this is what I got so far. Leave me the fuck alone! I'm having a fucking baby! Yo, it wasn't really the half of it. Screaming, more like it. Maybe even more than screaming. Screaming, not enough of a word. Screaming can tell. I was in an agony of physical pain, sure, but on top of that was the agony of the psychological, an agony of the spirit. All that was all mixed up and scrunched together with the agony of joy that had overwhelmed me less than just the day before. It hadn't even been 24 hours. I was drunk. I was sitting on the throne in the bathroom, the toilet, my pulpit. If a pulpit is something you can sit on, I don't even know. The pulpit where I sat and preached into myself because there was no one else there that would listen. No one that would understand it at the time when I couldn't understand it either. I thought I had to go to the bathroom, but after a while I knew it wasn't that. Pushing another body out into the world. Problem was, I was a 26-year-old man, and I didn't have any pussy parts, let alone a uterus. The pain had come at me through my toes, enough pain to catch the rest of me. My body tensed up, like the whole gang of me had gone into a camp of spasm. The bottom of my stomach, my abdomen, I guess, it hurt. Oh God, it hurt. It was in me, and it needed to come out. Edward's knuckles knocked on the door again. He was soft-spoken. Come on, man, he said. You all right? You want me to call somebody? It was a minute before he said, I gotta pee. Edward, he was the bass player. He was a great musician, and he looked the part. Dreadlocks past his ass. A big man whose glasses usually sat on the bridge of his broad nose. There was no way he was going to believe me. This time, my voice was small and cracked with strain. I'm having a baby. Come on, man, really? You ain't having no baby. I never believed much in the naysayers, them religioneers, them non-believers. What in the heck did they know? They ain't me. They have no clue what it's like inside my body. Come on, Chuck, Edward said. Please, really, I gotta pee. In all reality, I am a nice man. I felt bad for hogging the bathroom. I did it. Plus, it was getting claustrophobic. I needed air. The contractions had tapered off a bunch. Maybe the next one would come for another 5 minutes. Plus, I needed another beer and some more whiskey. I unlocked the bathroom door, opened it slow. The dorm room they had let us stay in, all them cinder block walls painted a turquoise color. Edward standing there holding his crotch. You do look a little pale, he said. He pushed past me into the bedroom and closed the door. I grabbed me a Budweiser and a bottle of whiskey. I didn't really feel much like talking to Edward right then. Didn't really feel like talking to anybody. I took the beer and the whiskey and walked out the dorm room. There was a small stand of pine trees a long throwaway that stood up in the middle of an extra large lawn. It looked as good a place as any. I sat there, down there, under one of them trees with my bottle of whiskey and my Budweiser. My toes started to get all up in a tighten again, the ball pain rearing itself from somewhere down in the deeps of me. It was later on, a couple of weeks after it was over, my hippie friend, the one that I could trust, the one that was a midwife and a healer, and as true of a human as I ever met, she told me, sympathetic birth, Kovad syndrome, to quote my hippie friend, it can happen to a man once in a while after he and his partner had been through a long labor and difficult labor. She said it was a rarity, that a partner can even take on the physical attributes of their pregnant counterpart, that they can get morning sickness, and even sometimes a man's breast can grow. She said it typically happens to sensitive men. She said I was lucky. Me and my wife, Elizabeth, we went through a long and difficult labor, 56 hours of it. The whole pregnancy, it started out, well, you know how it started out, how the rest of it went like this. Me and my wife, we was hippies. We got pregnant. We did all them things together like we were supposed to. We ate good and took them vitamins with all them extra irons. We did all that breathing and then perineum massages. We got us a midwife because we wanted to have our baby at home, but we reserved that birthing room right across the street from us at the hospital just in case. My wife, she wasn't real big of a woman, but she wasn't real small of a woman neither. She was of an average, brown eyes, brown hair. The birth, it was long and it was hard and it was painful, breathing. Of us two naked in a tub, sitting there in the hot water, her back leaning into me, us trying to be in a calm, us trying to bring that life into a calm, the screaming and the yelling, the pain. We ended up getting across the street to the hospital. That was after 24 hours. The midwife, she said we had better because a long labor like that, it could hurt the baby, it could hurt the mama too. She did. She pushed it out in the end, and I was so damn proud of her. And I caught that baby out of her vagina, and I held him there, and my life flashed before my eyes, and I was a different man than I ever had been before. I was a father. After I gathered myself up a little bit, I walked a few short steps over to where my wife was laying there on that hospital gurney. That nurse, she placed that baby all gentle on top of my wife's chest, and when I seen that look that my wife gave to that baby, how that look could only come from a mother that was looking at her son. Well, I ain't afraid to say I just lost it all over again, and tears come down, flowing off the end of my cheeks in a deluge. That's when I thanked my wife more than I had ever thanked anyone any time in my life before, and she looked the most complete as I had ever seen a person. And I really realized I was never going to get to be able to feel like that, that was a gift reserved only for women. I stayed with her in that hospital that night, knowing full well the whole time that I was going to have to leave in the morning. But I was a musician and the tour was booked, and heck, I was a drummer and shit, the show must go on, all that. Thing was, I wasn't sure I believed in all that bullshit right then, that the show must go on. I didn't want to leave for nothing. It was the hardest thing I ever had to do in all my life. Leave my wife and my newborn like that, it just didn't feel right. It just didn't never feel right at all. When I looked up, there was that big pine tree up all over again, and I realized I was still in the campus field, laying there in the grass in a fetal position. I realized I was still drunk as hell. I also realized that there was two cops, and there was Edward standing over me. He's having a baby, I heard Edward say. He can't have alcohol here, I heard one of them cops say. And he's making way too much noise, I heard the other cops say. We got a complaint. I groaned, I knew I did, loud and drunk and delirious. I heard Edward tell the cops my story, how I had just had a baby the night before, how I had to leave my baby so I could come there and play the music. I'm having a baby, I groaned. I bet that one cop, I bet he looked at the other cop, I bet both of them shrugged their shoulders a little bit. Well, keep them quiet, the one cop said, and get that alcohol out of here. And I'm telling you once, if we have to come back here again, he's going to jail. And them cops, they left. I couldn't believe it. That's what Edward told me. He told me that they left. He'd seen that It seems that right then, I caught myself on my second break. The second break I ever got of being a father in this new world.
Yeah!